Hi, my name is Sarah Janning. I am a sophomore middle childhood education major at Otterbein University. My concentration areas are science and language arts. For my before and after, I grew up in the church. I went there with my parents a lot. Usually I'd go to Sunday school and they would go to church, but they didn't always go. Usually I kind of liked going to church. Sunday school, like, it was fun, we'd watch videos, but most of the time I would rather sleep in, and I'd try to make excuses so that I wouldn't have to go. I also had a pretty normal life. I had normal friends, good grades, the usual kind of thing. I was the standard good innocent kid. But when I was little, I would actually pray to God a lot. I've always had a connection with God. I would talk to him a lot, ask him to help me with tests or things like that, or if I couldn't find my homework, I would ask him about that. I went to Church of the Savior when I was little with my parents, but then my dad actually had to start going to the church that his parents went to, so we left there and went there for a while. But in second grade, my parents divorced, and they separated, and so my mom and I went back to Church of the Savior, and I was expecting for, to be welcomed and to be, accepted back. I wanted people to remember me, but that was not the case. Most people didn't really seem excited to see me. They just thought I was another person. And so I looked at the other kids there that had grown up there and been there their whole life with parents that were really involved. I looked at them and I just wished I was them. I wanted to be seen and known. I just really wanted to get involved, but it seemed very hard to get back into that. So, and on my 9th grade mission trip, this changed, because on my 7th and 8th one, my mom made me go on those, and I had a good time, but it didn't change my life. But then on my 9th grade mission trip to South Carolina, with my church, I went with a bunch of youth, and I finally felt accepted, and I also I kind of fell in love with God. So I started my relationship with Jesus, and it was wonderful, because at the same time, my mom was also getting closer to God, and she was falling in love with him too. And my mom and I are best friends, so this was very important for us. And then I actually started to become excited to go to church. I looked forward to it every day, and I never wanted to miss a week of it. And then in high school, my sophomore year, I fell in love with a man. I was 16, he was 19, and it was brutal. It was very hard. I definitely got my heart broken, but I learned a lot. And even at the end of the relationship, I knew that, I had learned a lot, and that God had taught me a lot through that, and I knew that God was holding me and that he always would be. And so I never regretted that relationship. And then through reading God is Your Matchmaker, the book, and going on a chrysalis retreat for women, it's like a weekend retreat, I actually fell in love with Jesus. I already kind of had started to, but that was when I really started to focus Jesus and God as my first lover, and just the one that matters the most. And so my before word would have to be searching, because I was always searching for love. I was searching for love in a man. But then my word for after I accepted Christ would be patient, because I learned to be patient and wait for God's timing in everything I do. So the verse that I think really goes along with this is Philippians 4:6, which says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and petition with thanksgiving present your requests to God." So I really learned to just trust God, and to trust that he would point me in the right direction at the right time, because God's timing really is always perfect. So that's my before and after.